You know, AI Super Week was supposed to be about anybody but OpenAI. And here's OpenAI stealing the stage again. And that is what Sam Altman does. That is arguably his one of his two genius things. The other is fundraising, but he is really, really good at stealing a PR news cycle. And in this case, everybody has been talking about Google I/O. Everybody has been talking about Microsoft Build. People have been talking about Jensen and his speech on Monday about NVIDIA and the future of robotics. And OpenAI wants that PR coverage back, even though they just had a Codex launch on Friday. They don't want the whole week to go by without you thinking about them. And so, very deliberately, in the middle of this week, this is when they dropped the news that there's a $6.5 billion acquisition of Jony Ive's company. And if you don't know, Jony Ive is the designer of the iPhone. He is a knight, Sir Jony Ive, for a reason. One of the most famous folks in the early Steve Jobs Apple era. He's since left Apple, and he is now going to be managing devices at OpenAI, even though OpenAI has no device. So obviously the question is, what is the device? What do we know about it? There are rumors and there's no facts. The rumor is generally around glasses and around voice as a form factor. But then again, that could be incorrect because, frankly, everybody's working on glasses. Meta's working on glasses. Apple's working on glasses. Google did an extended reality glasses demonstration just yesterday. And so I don't know where the device is going to be in terms of form factor. I suspect it will be something that is tethered to the phone initially because of data and compute reasons. And I think that the goal is eventually to move past the phone requirement so that OpenAI can fully control the form factor for the AI age, as it were. This is absolutely in line with their play from a consumer perspective in going after, their billion, roughly speaking, getting to a billion user install base. Can they convert some of those into, say, 50 million, 100 million device purchases, start to get to Apple scale? Now this is changing the valuation of the business. And I'm talking fast, but I want you to stop and think because there are some contradictory statements in there if you watch. On the one hand, you have Sam Altman and other leaders saying, this is going to be artificial general intelligence, dramatic disruptions in how we work. Jobs will be created, jobs will be destroyed, but this is going to be a big, big deal. And on the other hand, there's an implicit assumption, if you are investing in hardware, that we are actually going to have a world that looks a lot like today's world in terms of a hardware purchase market, which requires a lot of people to have the disposable income to purchase a nice new device in addition to the phone from OpenAI. If the doomsday sayers are right, even if Sam Altman is right and we have disruption in employment from AI, who's buying it? Who's buying it? I don't know. And so I think that they kind of need to pick a lane. Like either this is massively disruptive or it's kind of business as usual with some AI icing, and we now have a new market for devices. But they're sort of playing both sides here, and I think that's super interesting, and I'm curious to see how they start to reconcile that over time, because right now, what they're doing doesn't line up with what they're saying. So we will see. I am sure the device will be pretty. I don't have a secret preview. I do not know what it will look like. But when it comes out, I suspect it will start to shape the conversation around the degree to which an AI model is tied in a walled garden to a device. This has been the Apple play. They get to win because they have a walled garden and they control the unit economics of the device. OpenAI is literally very publicly stealing Apple's playbook, stealing Apple's designer, and using it to run their own business. And Tim Cook has to not be happy about that because Apple is trying to get glasses shipped, at least that's the rumor. They cannot get a large language model powered Siri until, I don't know, 2027 was the last date that I heard. Apple has to be a place that you're worried about. They are just not shipping fast enough right now. So I will be curious to see how this shakes up the race. But really the headline is OpenAI can't let 2 days go by in the news cycle without grabbing an acquisition and driving that news cycle right back to where Sam wants it to be. And here we are talking about OpenAI again when we were supposed to be talking about Google, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Anthropic has a live stream tomorrow. So stay tuned. It's always wild out here.